I sometimes say, I sometimes say, okay, love is on the way, and I breathe, uh, and yet I don't have a standard pattern of what to do with when things come up.
So let us make a suggestion here. When these feelings arise and you feel as though there's an aspect of you that is showing its face that you would rather not see, rather than coming up with words such as love is on its way, how about love is already here? There's no need for you to show yourself in this manner at this time, because I love all aspects of you. Just because you are now on the back burner doesn't mean that I don't love you just as much as I did when you were on the front burner. In other words, there was a time in your life where the aspect of yourself, the ego self that is coming forth prominently at this time over the last few days, is the part of you that was guiding your life in so many ways, yes, for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Now you have established this relationship with the soul and the ego, and you have decided that it's the soul that's going to lead the way and the ego is going to be in the back burner, and there's going to be times when the ego doesn't like that idea. The reason why is because it has been demoted. And anyone that runs a business understands that demotion is one of the hardest things to do within a company, because the feelings associated with a, let's say, more important role are diminished, hence a blow to the ego. Yes, so the ego is the ego. The ego is going to experience this just as much as if you were playing out a human role where you were the president of the company and then demoted to a lower role. How would that affect the personality involved? Yes, it wouldn't be pretty. Now your ego is going to do the same thing. You have, at some point along this journey within the last few months, you have consciously decided that no longer would the ego be running your life and controlling every move that you are taking and deciding how and when you were going to get there, but you decided that you were going to let your spirit self, your higher self, your soul self, the part of you is connected to the source of creation, that divine part of you, that is who you want to be in the driver's seat.
Correct.
There's going to be some pushback from that. And the more that you try to shut the door to the ego without letting it in to see the view, you can talk again to your ego and allow it to come forth and to look out the window and to enjoy the view along with the soul. They're both in the captain's seats, yes? One is the co-pilot, one is the pilot. So invite from the soul level the feeling of fear to come forth and to take a seat and to relax and to look out the window and to realize there is really nothing to be fearful of. That fear is just an illusion. Anxiety is just an illusion. Now, there's the physical self, the biological self, that will experience the physical symptoms that go along with this emotion, yes, as you know. And this can be the most challenging point, because it is through the idea of fear and the pain created as a result that brings forth the feeling of discomfort. That if the physical body isn't comfortable, then how can the emotional self be comfortable? So the emphasis is then put back on the physical self, hence the smoking, to bring back a sense of control to the physical body that is saying, I need this now because you've taken this away from me. This that you have taken away was the power to be in control of what we're going to do today. This is your ego self talking. The ego self is closer, let's say, in relationship to the physical body than the soul self is, if you're to look at levels of organization. So when the emotional state is feeling disrupted, it's going to revert to the physical self first because it has the highest impact. Is this making sense?
Yes.
From the soul level needs to work through the emotional self to get to the physical self. Hence the reason why many human beings will revert to old patterns of behaviors, because it gets you into the emotional level quickly. Anxiety may not be the most pleasant of emotions, but it's one that you're used to, that then can communicate more directly and quickly with the physical self, saying, in order to get through this sense of anxiety, this is what I need right now, and in this particular case it's cigarettes, in somebody else's case it might be something completely different, but the idea being whatever it is that is satisfying the need of the emotion that feeds the ego. The soul self would be saying, okay, fear, okay, doubt, okay, anxiety, I recognize that you are here. Let's love you wholly and completely, just like we would if the idea of unity, of compassion, of sincerity, of peacefulness were here. Let's love you equally, and rather than trying to shut the door to you and push you out because we don't like you, or to cave to you completely and saying, okay, I'm not even going to go there, it's not even worth trying to figure out, you're here now, let's just accept the fact that you're back in control because it's easier. And in order to do that, what do you need? Oh, you need a cigarette? Okay, then let's feed you the cigarette, and then maybe you'll shut up. But you don't shut up. You just keep going and going and going, and then soul self comes in and says, yeah, but this isn't actually what I want anymore because I've seen something different. Is this making sense?
You kind of lost me there for a minute.
In other words, you're reverting back to the idea of feeding the habits of the ego, not feeding what the soul is craving in order to stay in alignment with a sense of peace and harmony and compassion and love.
Okay, I got that.
So the choice is being made from the logical mind that says it's easier to just revert to old habits of behavior, which is allowing the ego to take the reins when the fear and the doubts arise, rather than trying to work through those from a soul level and feed what the soul needs. You're taking the route that is more traveled because it's something that you're more used to, and you're reverting to the old ways, which is saying, okay, ego, fine, you're here, you're back, I don't necessarily like it, and I don't really like how you're acting and behaving, but I really don't have the energy to fight with you over it, and I'm not going to even bother, so what do you need? Ego says, right now I need a cigarette. Okay, here you go, here's a cigarette. Soul self says, I don't really think that was the best move, but it seems like that's the direction that you're choosing to go, and you end up in this sort of spiral, yes?
Right, but at most times, other than saying those words, if those words don't shift the energy that I feel in the solar plexus, I am getting better at calling on guidance and meditating and asking them, what do I need to know? You know,
yeah, because from that perspective, you're making a conscious decision to, in that moment, to not let the soul revert to, or the ego revert to its old habits, and to remind yourself that you have made a conscious choice, that the path that you desire more is the path of the soul. So you make a decision in this particular moment, rather than caving to the wants of the ego and allowing its face to rear and to try to take control of the situation. I'm going to go back to the needs of the soul, and the needs of the soul is to call upon guidance, is to find peace and quiet in the mind, which comes through meditation. Yes?
Yeah.
And so when you do this opposed to this, where does your heart fit into all that? What feels the best to you, and is there success playing out when you're coming from the point of the soul?